Hi, everybody. I am the Valley Viking, which I haven't said in a long time. So I have a testimony on here that I wanted to go ahead and cut up and put out. It's a little raw, spoken from, um, I don't know, from thoughts and feelings and also through the spirit, I believe. This is my testimony. I'm a little afraid to put it out there because I don't know. It's my first time telling my testimony from the heart. So if this helps you in any way, just let me know in the comments down below or just like the video. And all right, here we go. Good morning. I hope y'all are doing well. I wanted to share a little bit more about my testimony. Last time I shared about how God had removed, um, well, I guess the lust from my heart that was overtaking me and just eating up my time. And I didn't really have much to like explain after that, but uh, he also did much more than that. Um, but I didn't have that much time to talk about it. So let's open up a little bit, I guess, with a little bit about my dad. So my dad grew up being the youngest of, I believe, 7 children. At a young age, he was taught that drinking takes care of a lot of problems, and he had learned that alcohol was just his source of courage, his source of fun, his source of bravery. Whenever he got older, he joined the army, and that turned him into more of alcoholism. But he also served the country really well. Um, he he served in Germany and France, got to see castles, served at the base, and I believe it was one of the best times of his life, where he got to be with a bunch of people, a bunch of men that kind of had the same ideas. Uh, there was a lot of problems that were developing throughout his life, um, and when he got older and had me and my sister, um, he came from a life of hardship, so there wasn't really much to go off of. He gave all the love that he could give, and he did really well with what he was given. Now, I bring this up because me and my dad would come home after work, and his number one go-to, which would be bringing his courage and everything, would be drinking. Um, and so I had a drunk father um, as a father, but he was very sober throughout the day before that, and his sober side was amazing. It was tough, resilient, um, and then he showed compassion, um, and he was very he's very fatherly. He was good at he was good at being a dad. But when he got drunk, he turned into a different person altogether. And this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of combination drove me to hate my father and hate everything about him. Not wanting to get close, not wanting to have a relationship with him, um, and wanting me to get away as far as I can, to not even have what do you call it, like a bond with him. I would come home, he would probably ask how how am I doing. I wouldn't respond too much. I said I'm okay, and I'd go, doing whatever I wanted, to playing games or doing homework or just living my life, watching TV, doing things like that. And then eventually, because things weren't getting done around the house, he would get angry and you know tell me to do chores or complain that I wasn't doing enough. And then I was always messing up somehow, or well, anyway, um, I I am thankful that my dad was not soft around me. He was hard, because he did change a lot of habits that I did have, and he drove me to push myself a lot more than I probably would have done. Um, I mean, I still have things that like I still do that I'm not happy about, but I think that they're a lot less than they would have been. I'm not trying to be vague, but uh, maybe if I have more time, I'll talk more into that stuff. But for now, let's keep on going with the testimony. My dad uh, and me, after I had turned in my 20s, early 20s, I left the house. I wanted to stay in the house for my sister's safety, because I didn't trust my dad more than I didn't trust my mom. I love my mom. Mom is very tough. I love her very much. But I was worried for my sister, and I stayed until she turned 18, and then I moved out, because it was her choice to stay with them or do whatever she wanted. But I moved out, and when I moved out, my dad would continue to try to call me when I was living on my own, to berate me, or he would always call me in drunk, being drunk. He would never call me being sober. So I believe maybe after, I don't know how many times of calling, I told him I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm done with this relationship. I can't handle dealing with that. So after that conversation, I hung up on him, and essentially we didn't talk again. And my sister moved out. She moved in with me, but she continued a relationship with my parents, which kind of is terrible, because when I cut out my dad, in the same vein, I also cut out my mom. I still talk to my mom on the phone, but there wasn't as good a connection as there could have been. Anyway, my sister moved out soon after, started living her own life and doing things like that. And me, never really got closer with my dad until maybe a few years ago, whenever he had developed cancer. So my dad and my mom, about maybe 8 years ago, got together, and moved us out of the place that we were in, which was, there was gunshots and people roaming the streets, and a lot going on there. And they moved us out of there to move us into a house. So well, now we have a house. It's not paid off, but we have a house, and they started us off, and I'm thankful for that because it's a place where I have kids now, and I have a wife, and people could come over, and it's been a blessing in itself. However, they didn't move in until my dad's he developed cancer, because we still didn't have a good talking bond until he developed cancer, and then we started talking more, and and there was still a lot of tension, but less so. About 6 months, about 6 months before he passed, I started becoming more closer with God. Actually, it was on my birthday when I got baptized, which I also have on here. But I got baptized, started following God more. I got rid of all the perversive stuff that was in my phone. I got rid of connections that would drive me further away from God. And I started reading the Word more and praying more. It could have been for fear for my dad, but honestly, I don't think that was it. I think it was time to change my life. I always want to think back to whenever I rode on a bus home. I whispered, I'm gonna die at 30, and then I said, no, 35. I always attribute that to my old self died at 35, and now my new creation started at 35, because my dad passed on the 23rd of April, and 2 days before he passed, we were praying for him, and he asked if he could get baptized. And so I made an effort to go find a priest. Not a priest. I found our pastor, and I asked him if he would baptize my dad. And I didn't know how to judge how long my dad had to live. So the pastor at the time said, I can't just go on a whim and go baptize. That's a lot of, I'm not trying to make it sound worse than it is, because he was a very busy man, a very busy pastor, and it's very understandable that he didn't have time. And there was also a few other pastors that were there that could have helped, but I wanted this one particular pastor because I've seen that he was more faithful, closer to God, in my opinion. But that was at that time. All that to be said, that when I came home and I had told my dad that there wasn't I couldn't find anybody to baptize him, I had told him we can schedule a baptism, or I asked him. The other option is that I can baptize you myself, And he said, I want you to baptize me. And he made the conscious decision for me to do it. And my wife pressed me like that I need to do it, and I need to do it soon. So the same night that he asked that, I baptized him. And when I had poured the water over the top of his head, because he had a hole in his stomach, couldn't put him in water. When I had poured it over his head, he said, "It's so warm." And he was so comforted. And I'd say the day after is whenever he started developing worse and worse, symptoms of death. I don't know what to say. But I thank God that I was there for his final breath, that I was able to baptize him before he passed, and that there was enough time for me to do all of that and learn more about myself, more about God and his grace and forgiveness, and how faithful he is in that short amount of time. And I'm thankful that my dad instilled so much good things in me. And even though there's bad memories, there's so much more good memories. There's so much God left another little chunk of life for me to preserve right at the end, to say I still love my dad, And I want to say this too, because I questioned if I was if what I did was right. So I had brought it up to the pastor a week after. I can't remember how long it was. A week, maybe a month. It's very shortly after. If I did the right thing, because I had a lot of confusion at the time, and the pastor really he drove it into me, saying, you absolutely did the right thing. And he chose to be baptized by you. And that's something that God can redeem a relationship. He can redeem more than that, but if we had a broken relationship and he can still redeem it, I know for those that are out there that are suffering, he can redeem you too. Even if you have a broken heart or broken whatever, if you turn to God, he's there, he's waiting. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be happy. I don't know if I'm supposed to be thrilled that I told my testimony. But there is a joyousness that's here in my heart. It's also covered by a whole bunch of other emotions that I'm still kind of going through. Memories with my dad and thoughts, and I went to counseling and everything for it, so but I still, I don't know, maybe I need to share it more. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this made a difference in your life, or I mean, it's making a difference in my life right now by me testifying and by me talking about it, and sharing it. Uh, I think it's going to do good. Um, even even if it doesn't get noticed, it does a lot of good for me saying it out loud, because there's a freedom and like a breaking of chains in confession. And not only that, like, God wants us to tell our stories, so that He can get the glory. So I want to say that none of this was my effort. God had made a move in my life, and every single point, like, he had directed me back and back and back to keep me on the track of what He wanted me to do. So I'm just thankful that He gave me time to do that for my dad and redeem that relationship through him for His glory. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna stop rambling. Have a good night. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.